Good morning, everyone. So today is September 12th and we are going to be planting this perennial hyssop. I really wanted to plant these a lot earlier than this, but it took them forever to grow. I started them from seed earlier in the spring, really early in the spring, and it took them a really long time to get going. I'm not sure what the reason is. It could be the potting soil that I had them in. I was fertilizing them. You can see they are now really lush and they put on a lot of growth. I noticed that after I started hardening them off, that's when they started putting on the growth. But when they were inside under the grow lights, they weren't putting a lot of growth on. So today I want to plant these in the cottage garden along with some other spaces in on our land over here, because these are a lot of hyssop and I don't have a lot of space for them over here in the cottage garden. These also attract butterflies and they are a wonderful medicinal plant. They could also be used for tea, and so it's a versatile plant. They have beautiful purple blooms, and if I can find a picture of them, I'll flash it on the screen so that you guys can see what these will look like once they are mature. Now, it is really late in the season. Our frost date is technically September 24th. So planting these at this time is kind of risky, so they might make it, they might not. But while I still have them, I'm going to plant them. They might make it, they might not, and I really hope they do. If we get a really early frost before these get the chance to set their roots in the ground, then they probably won't make it until next year. But if our frost comes in October or late October, then these would definitely have the chance to set their roots in and come back the next season. It's drizzling right now, so I want to hurry up and get these in the ground. I also have some bread in the oven, so I really need to get these going, and I'll tell you about them a little bit later after we plant them. So this is one of the areas that I want to plant this hyssop in, and I'm going to try to sort of spread it out in here. I don't have irrigation set up in this area yet. You can see irrigation tubing in this area, but I will be changing it a little bit so that I have sort of a grid in this area, because I want to do a lot of planting in here. I have this section and the opposite section of me. I'm going to be planting the hyssop in this section. This is going to be more of a medicinal sort of garden on this side, and the other side is just going to be for beauty. So these are going to go in the medicinal section. So I'm going to place them about 12 inches apart from each other, and I'm going to give them some plant tone. I know it's late in the season, but I really want these plants to get their roots going. If I had biotone, that would have been better, but plant tone is the only thing I have, and that's what I'm going to be using. So I'm going to start placing them and planting, and then we'll talk about them after. So I ended up using the entire flat. I did not expect that. I thought I would use a lot less. But because I planted them a foot apart from each other, I needed a lot of them to fill the space because I want to make an impact in here. I don't want to just have one plant of each variety. I like to have big drifts of the same plant because it makes a huge impact when you do that. If you just have one plant here, one plant there, that doesn't really do it. I don't know, I like to have the same plant, same color, same foliage with these huge drifts. And I know this is a cottage garden, and I guess that kind of makes it more of a formal type gardening when you do that. But still, even in a cottage garden, when you have big spaces like that and then you have another big space next to it with a different variety and you just kind of weave them in together, that makes a huge impact. And you can repeat that same planting in a smaller amount in a different section of your flower bed or of your garden, and that creates kind of harmony in the garden. So I planted 24 plants basically because the tray that I had 24 cells in it, and there was one plant in each cell. I planted one seed in each cell, and if any did not germinate, I came and I planted again because I did not want to have to separate them, and I wanted to make sure that these plants will put on a lot of growth in their cells before I transplant them, so that I don't have to pot them up or divide them or do all that stuff. And then they also won't be root bound if I just left them in their cells like I did for a long time. And I purposefully did leave them in their cells because I wanted them to put on some growth before I planted them, and they actually are not root bound at all. They're perfect. They had good roots on them. They put on a lot of growth, and they developed some hard stems on them. So let me show you how I planted them, or where I planted them. So you see the asparagus right here. Unfortunately, the cord that I had on the asparagus actually broke. That held it upright. So I need a heavier duty type of cord, maybe some metal bus wire or something like that, that will hold the asparagus, because when it rains, the asparagus gets super heavy. I also do have to remove these branches that have the seeds on them. They look beautiful, but I don't want them to spread like crazy in here because asparagus can be a heavy spreader if you leave the seeds on the plants. So I think I have 3 female plants and the rest are male plants, which is perfect because the male plants have the bigger stalks on them, and they're actually, I don't know, I've heard that they're more tender, but I'm not sure. So anyways, back to these hyssop, Anise hyssop over here. So this is the asparagus over here. I'm going to be planting another row of asparagus right next to it, so right about there, and it's going to stop about here, and that's going to happen next season, not this season. So I wanted these to kind of grow into the asparagus, and I'll still be able to harvest the asparagus from this side over here. And if I have to move a couple of these plants to create a path next to the asparagus so that it's easy for me to harvest, I'll do that in the future. But for now, this is what's happening. And you can see I kind of made the drift kind of go wider this way and then narrow, and it goes right in front of the hollyhocks, which the hollyhocks only last for 2 seasons, but they can seed themselves in here if they want to, and I will let them. And oh, I have to take the bread out of the oven. So I just took 2 loaves of bread out of the oven and put 1 more in the oven, and these are actually gluten-free loaves of bread, and I have a recipe actually for this bread on my website, and I'll link it down in the description box below. I actually need to do some changes because I did some changes to my recipe, and so I need to update the recipe a little bit. But if you guys are gluten-free, or someone in your life is on a gluten-free diet and you want to make bread for them, I have a link down in the description box below for the recipe. It's a sourdough recipe. I also have just a regular bread recipe, so I'll link them both if you guys are interested. I actually do gluten-free recipes. I haven't done any though for the longest time after my daughter was born. It got a little bit challenging time-wise because, you know, I don't have a lot of time left. So in the future, hopefully I'll be able to upload some more recipes and gardening blog posts and all that stuff. If you guys haven't checked out the website yet, Again, I'll link it down in the description box below along with the recipes for both types of bread, and you go ahead and check it out. I have some gardening blog posts in there as well. So let me turn you around and continue talking about the Anise Hyssop. So on this side over here you can see there's the blueberry. I ended up narrowing the drift a little bit and kind of having it go around the blueberry. Now this blueberry is going to grow big, so I might have to take 1 or 2 out of them out of here in the future, and what I'll probably do is expand this kind of in this manner this way, so it curve this way, or I'll dig them up and plant them somewhere else. So again, the hollyhock, these are here only temporarily. They will be dying off the next season, so after they bloom and all that stuff, and they'll last the whole season, then next year they won't come back again unless they seeded themselves in here. But I'm thinking with the purple blooms in here, this is a jet black hollyhock, I need something white in here. So I will have to maybe plant something in front of this, or maybe on that side. I think probably on that side of the blueberry right here, something white, maybe like a white delphinium, or maybe something shorter, because the delphinium probably is going to grow tall, so maybe just a little bit shorter, maybe some foxgloves. That would actually look beautiful. Or I don't know, but all these things though that I'm mentioning have really tall blooms, so maybe I need something with kind of stockier blooms in here. We'll see what happens. I may even just plant some white zinnias in here. I don't know. I'll have to think about it. And I really do want to put a bench on this side over here. So just like a little small bench so that I could sit in the garden and look out this way, and all that is eventually going to be changing. This is just temporary plants, but I planted these plants in here for the reason to, well, for 2 reasons. One, I needed them for a project that I was using, but also I kind of wanted to see how I want to implement my plans. And I am still not going to implement them the next season because I want to repeat this zinnia planting in here, but next time I want to make the path on this side for this area over here. And also I want to make just a solid color, because my plan is to make a solid hedge on both ends, and then some plantings in the middle. I want something to surround that bird bath over there. So I still need to go over my plans, see what actually I decided to plant in here, and then it would be hunting for the plants, because I feel like it's super difficult for us to find the plants that I want in my garden, in our garden centers and even big box stores. It's super difficult to find them, so I'll either have to purchase them online or just go to some nurseries that are maybe farther away from us, because some areas that are far from us, maybe like 2 hours or so, might have plants that are that I would want, but that's just a little bit stretching it. I don't know, because I am not sure that I would do that. I would like to visit some nurseries around us. Anyways, so this is where they ended up, and again, they're going to be growing tall, and they're going to have some purple blooms. I don't know if the salvia is going to return next year. I would like it to return, but I don't think so, because from the looks of it, it looks like a salvia that is perennial to zones that are lower than us, maybe zone 6 and 7. So we'll see. I do hope it will return though. That would be wonderful. So I will be planting some more of this Anise Hyssop probably next season, or I may just change my plans altogether and plant something else in those locations, because I already planted hyssop in the butterfly garden, a different type of hyssop. And actually, let's go ahead and talk about this Anise Hyssop. Just tell you a few things about it. So Anise Hyssop is a perennial. As I mentioned before, it blooms these beautiful purple or bluish blooms. It can grow up to 4 feet tall. And this is a native, I believe, from the Midwest all the way up to Canada. So this is basically a native to us over here in New Hampshire, and it's hardy to zone 3. So I think from zone 3 to 9. So this is definitely a perennial over here for us. Anise Hyssop is also in the same family as the Agastache, and also in the family of mint. So this is a medicinal plant. Not only is it going to look beautiful, but also it is a medicinal plant that we can use it for tinctures and for tea and for things like that. So I still don't know a lot about it. I actually need to do some research about how to use it, but it is a good medicinal plant to have in your garden. So just a quick Google search over here. It says that the dried leaves can be used for medicinal purposes to treat coughs, fevers, wounds, and diarrhea. And I do believe that you can also use the flower itself. And the indigenous tribes used a poultice of the leaves to treat burns and rashes. So it's a very versatile plant, and it can also reduce bacterial and viral load in case of illness. It helps relaxation and sleep. Wow. Antibacterial, anti-inflammatory. Just a disclaimer, I'm not a doctor, I'm not an herbalist, I'm not any of these things. I'm just sharing with you what Google says over here, because I missed, there was one plant that I missed planting, so I gotta plant that one. Good thing I stayed here for a little bit. So anyways, so it's a really good plant. Basically, it's a wonderful medicinal plant. And a lot of these medicinal plants, like the hollyhock and a lot of these just native medicinal plants. Oh, there's a hummingbird. Let me see if I can capture it. Oh, flew away. Anyways, a lot of these medicinal plants have several uses. So you can plant them and use them for so many things. Yarrow is one of them. It can be used for so many things. It's an astringent, as well as it's I think a blood thinner. It's like aspirin, I guess. So I don't know how it does both things together. You can use it as a poultice for stopping bleeding, and also you could take it internally for like head. I'm confusing two things. There's a lot to learn about. There's actually feverfew is one of them. Yes, feverfew is the aspirin, I'm sorry, not the yarrow. So feverfew is one of those medicinal plants that you could use as aspirin, I believe. I still need to learn about all these things. I have books on the subject. I also do a lot of research online. And also there's actually a really good channel about these topics, and one of them is Learn Your Land, and he talks about all sorts of plants, wild plants that grow natural in the natural habitats. He talks about poisonous plants, and he talks about medicinal plants. So it's a really good channel. Another channel that I found very helpful is the Honeystead, I believe, and I'll see if I can link both channels in the description box below. The Honeystead, she is an herbalist. She took an herbalism degree, I think, her and her mom, and they both do they have a store, I think, that they sell herbal tinctures in, and they teach a lot about these medicinal plants and creating your own herbal tinctures and stuff like that. So these are two helpful channels for this topic. I am sort of new to this, not so much. I dabbled in it a few years ago, and now I am coming back to it because I really do believe there are huge benefits to having your own medicine. Goodness, this is loud. Lots of trucks today. So there are really good benefits to having your own medicinal plants in your own garden. They're grown organically, away from the streets. You know, a lot of people go foraging for medicinal plants, but you shouldn't forage next to the streets, because all the fumes from the cars, the pollutants, and all these things are going on the plants. So it's actually going to be more harmful and less beneficial because of all these pollutants that are present on the plants and in the soil as well. Because also, you know, the town municipalities, how you say it, they spray for pesticides and herbicides and all sorts of things. So if you grow your own medicinal plants, you just make a small garden for medicinal plants, then you know how they're grown, you know that they're safe, they're organically grown and all those things. So you're going to increase the benefits dramatically, and you don't have to hunt for them because they're going to be right here next to your doorstep. One of the plants that I'm planning on getting is, what's it called? The name escaped me. Um, it's a plant that can be used both medicinal, and also the leaves can be used as to make fertilizer. What's it called? I can't remember. If I remember the name while I'm editing, then I'll flash it on the screen so that you guys can look it up as well. So I just wanted to create this video just to share kind of both beauty and also the benefit of medicinal plants. I actually grew up using medicinal plants in the place where I grew up, and we had to, for a period of time, we had to use medicinal plants because I was born during the war in Lebanon, and when we came back to our town, because we had to leave our town, so when we came back, and there were no doctors, there was no medicine, so we had to use what was available to us, from the resources that were available to us, to create our own medicine so that we can medicate ourselves in case if we need it. Like, for example, if you get a bug bite, what do you do? Or if you get a rash, what do you do? If you have pink eye, or all these things, there are so many beneficial plants that can help with these things, and it's good to learn about them, because just, they are there. Why not use them and learn how to use them properly? And also, who knows what could happen in this world? So it's good to have this knowledge so that when you do need it, you are able to use it. So right now, I think I forgot to tell you how wide this plant grows. So it grows about 1 to 3 feet wide. So even though I planted these plants super close together, I want to plant them this way because I want to block any weeds, and if I have to divide them later, I will. And I also want it to create a big mass. I also have been doing some kind of design research and learning more about design, because this is something that is important to me. I not only want to plant food and medicine and flowers, but I also want it to look beautiful. So one of the people that really inspired me recently is called Udolf Hyatt. I think he is a Polish landscape designer. I don't know, but I'll flash one of his designs on the screen, or a few of his designs, and they are both naturalistic but also intentional, and they bring both the beauty of the sort of this formality a little bit, and also nature, combining nature and formality a little bit, putting order into chaos basically. So I was really inspired by his designs. Another person that I'm super inspired by is also P. Allen Smith. If you know him, you know him. He's super famous. So, and I also love all his designs and his knowledge on plants and history and of plants and design and all these things. So I've been following P. Allen Smith for over a decade. I don't know, it's been a long time, for almost decades it seems like. And the hummingbird is back, and there he goes. Every time I try to film him for you guys, he just disappears. So anyways, so this is part of my plan over here. I kind of want to put a path on this side over here next to the asparagus so that I can harvest it easily, and also there's going to be a path that's going to be branching out and going that way to the bench that will be there. When will these things happen? I have no idea. These are just plans for the future, dreams I like to call them, because I'm not sure if they will happen or if they will not, if there will be change of plans, or it's also costly to do all these things, so I want to take it one step at a time, and do it slowly, because it can be expensive. In the meantime, I will just fill the area with plants that I kind of want, or maybe if I find a bench on the road or something like that, I'm going to snag it, because these things again are not cheap, and I want to do this on as low of a budget as I can. And I think that will be helpful also to a lot of you, because gardening doesn't have to be expensive, landscaping doesn't have to be expensive. You can do it at a super low budget if you can find things in your on Craigslist or on Facebook Marketplace or on the side of the road, or yard sales, even in thrift stores. Those are great places to look for hardscape for your landscape, because the hardscape is a huge part of the landscape, and I feel that it kind of ties things together. And just one small thing, like this statue over here with a bird bath over it, I feel like just changes this whole entire area. If this was not here, this whole space would look very different. So these are things to think about when you are designing a space. I'm not a design expert by any means. I just love to research this topic, and I love to follow people that are designers and have experience in this subject. I love to read from them as well, and learn all the things that I can learn, because you know, it's these types of things bring beauty to our life, and they just make life more beautiful, more enjoyable. They bring sort of a sense of, sorry for the loud noise, they bring a sense of peace into our life when we go outside and look at the beauty that we have created, that God has created, I should say, and we have, you know, put together with Him, have designed and implemented in all these things. It's going to just bring you so much joy, and it's going to put a sense of peace in you, just because nature does that. Nature is beautiful, and it is calming, and seeing all this beauty is just, again, I don't want to keep repeating myself. You know what I'm talking about. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something new, and I will be leaving a link for another video for you right here, so you can go ahead and enjoy until the next time. And if you are new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and the bell to receive notifications of whenever I upload new videos. And if you like this video, go ahead and click that and if you like this video, go ahead and click that like button so that more people can see it on YouTube. And I will leave all the links for you down in the description box below. Don't forget to check them out. If I remember to put some of these links in the comment section, I will. If not, oh well. I want to thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you again next time. Bye!